We're back at the 10 Crack Commandments heroin addicts plumbing job here to fix these leaks down here, secure these loop-de-loop drains right here, and look for any other heroin related installs that may not be so good for the building. Okay, I checked the plumbing down there. It actually looks all right. So we'll start at this loop-de-loop here. Big old belly right there. And it comes back up. There it goes back down. And it actually goes back up one more time. I used to ride roller coasters as a kid at the Pomona Fairgrounds that would do that. Not bad. Need a one strap right there. This actually needs to be strapped down. This is one of the reasons I don't like ABS, is that it bows. Even when it's new, ABS bows, and I hate that so much. So I'm literally going to strap that down a little bit to give it the right pitch. This just gets worse and worse, dude. Nice support on the rock, but it doesn't really matter because that pipe on top, this one, it's going over this one, that's the kitchen drain. And that goes all the way down into a pressure PVC. It's like an irrigation 90. Look at that. That is something else right there, bro. Wow. Man. But it's crossing over the kitchen drain for the next door unit. And then that ties into a Y. And then we have a dead line right there, discontinued, and then it loops back around and it ties into the same. Golly, I didn't notice this last time. Man. Wow. How is this real, dude? All right, I mean, I think I can lift this up a little bit, and it's not going to affect the slope of this, but jeez, man. I mean, why wouldn't they have just tied it into that the discontinued one right there with 3 couplings on it? Look, it has 2 couplings for no reason. Man. Okay, I'll put 2 here for the added weight. But as I lifted that up, I could hear drainage. But it's About as good as this is gonna get. I might even put another one right there. No, that's gonna... There's plenty of slope on this thing, man. That's gonna drain fine. Man. All right, so now let's do the leaking drains. Before we get to the leaks, let's go over this contraption here. So that's a vent. So look, okay, so we were over here. So that's the kitchen line we were just strapping, right? So that comes all the way down, and then it ties into this contraption right there. And then that, see that line? That's the kitchen sink for the other unit. And it all ties into this weird Y and 90 thing. And then comes down and it ties into here. And then this is the kitchen for next door. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. This is the kitchen for the unit down here. This is the kitchen right here. I mean, look at that, dude. That is something else, bro. That is some special. I'm leaving it. I love it. I mean, how long has this been like that? It's kind of interesting how stuff still works, you know? As long as you have it vented. I mean, there you go. Venting right into the crawl space. Okay, all right, folks, here we go. Ooh, I rarely use this because if something's wrong, I like to cut it out completely and fix it. But the owner does not want to cut everything out and redo it. And this is a very low risk area in a crawl space. If there's a leak in the crawl space from a drain, it's not that big of a deal. So I gave him the option. I can try to save as much as possible. So I'm gonna ream out those fittings and keep the cost low for them, and that's that. I've used this several times, the 4-inch. The thing I don't like about these is that it tends to bore out the fitting as well. It gets rid of the pipe, right? It gets rid of all of this glued in the fitting, but I've not used the 2-inch, but the 4-inch, it bores out the fitting just a little bit, so when you stick the pipe back into the fitting, it's really loose. If you know what a mega press fitting feels like on a piece of galvanized, that's what it was like. It's really loose. So yeah, like I said, I don't use these very often because if it's done wrong, let's just cut the whole thing out, because I don't want issues down the line, even 2 years from now, you know. At that point, it'd be a service call if you ever got a call back, but I want stuff to last. And yeah, so all right, let's do this. Okay, so first issue is this isn't gonna fit in between that. It'll fit on this one, but when you use the fitting savers, you have to use a Sawzall and cut as close to the fitting hub as possible. So, and make sure you don't mess up the fitting, right? Look at that. That just came loose. All right. I could just repipe this, but for the sake of the video, let's just cut this and I'll show you how the fitting saver works. So the way this works is this right here bores out the pipe. And this fits inside the pipe like that. It's best to have the drill on hammer. And you gotta finesse it. You don't want to just jam it in here and, you know, let the drill go. You gotta work with it a little bit. You got me? See how it's starting to bore it out? I usually only go until the depth of this is reached. See? You could go a little bit more, but you got to be really careful, man, because you don't want to mess up that fitting. And quite frankly, that's plenty of room to glue. You can go a little more, probably. There you go. Now it's just kind of popping out. Okay, so now it's an 8-inch piece, the no hub band. Now you get a little glue. Glue that fitting really well. Make sure you give it a couple of twists in the fitting. Like that. like that. There you go. That's how it's done right there with a fitting saver. But make sure you glue the heck out of that fitting, because it doesn't fit like a glove. You know? So now let's do this side. And this one will be a little harder because I'm going to have to, because everything's going to stay in place. So when you do that, and look at this, this is a 2" by 1.5" by 1.5" sanitary tee on its back, and that goes to a clean out outside. I told the owner they don't want to, said it's been draining fine, so we're just going to save this 2" right here. We're going to cut it as close as possible and then do the same thing we did here. You know, like I said, I haven't used the 2" one, but I actually got pretty much all of that out. In my experience with the 4" one, you gotta really be careful with it. That's I gotta be honest, that was pretty. The reed, these really are the best. If you're gonna get them, they make those other kind that those silver ones, and the way those work is they cut the plastic kind of, but it works more on friction. You got to get the fitting hot, and it almost melts the plastic out of the fitting. I don't like those as much because you have to push hard on those. Or these, you can just feather them in there, and and you can change the little blade on there too, which is nice. But okay, so now let's pipe this up. What do you say? All right, plenty of glue. Plenty of glue. Don't be afraid to have the little boogers hanging down. That's it. Now there's a leak, copper water leak down this way. We'll fix that next. All right. Last thing. We're down here by, looks like Cotton Eye Joe is working down here and shooting heroin. Friendly reminder, don't let your neighborhood crackhead do your plumbing. Okay. I will cut it. All right. We will cut it right here. Stupid wires are in the way, dude. Water's off, but nobody's home. So I'm just gonna have to let all the pressure out right here. Simple as that. Took 6 minutes. All right, let's go turn the water on. ProPress just doesn't leak. Simple as that. You just don't have to check it like you have to check solder joints. All right, we're out of here.